Hey there, Facebook. It is Vanessa here again, your speaker, trainer, and coach from Live, Love, Give. And today I've got a message coming to you. Again, it's always happening in my life. How can I stop doing this for you guys? I don't think I can. But today's message is to say what you mean and mean what you say, or don't say it at all. And so today's topic is all about integrity. You know, it's all about being a person of your word. It is all about building and establishing trust in your ability to communicate and align your words and actions. And I feel like I'm going to get all ranty in today's message because it's just something that is so kind of like we all have these triggers in our lives, and this is the one that kind of triggers me, and I always get these different opportunities to kind of not get triggered and actually be more emotionally intelligent when these sort of circumstances happen and occur in my life. But I really wanted to stress this message because for me, it's been super weird what's been going on in my life just recently. In particular over the last couple of weeks, but definitely over this year has been, and actually for the rest of all of my life so far, but I'm talking about like what's kind of getting, the whole feather brick bus analogy or truck analogy. You might send a feather a little tickle, like you're going to learn this lesson. If you ignore that or you don't learn the lesson, you're going to get hit by a brick. And if you ignore the brick, you're going to get taken out by a bus. And that's kind of where I feel like I am a little bit right now, because it just seems crazy that I've got so many of my connections and my relationships going through the same challenge, and I'm the common denominator. And so it's definitely got me looking at, how am I influencing and impacting this dilemma and this situation, which is people in my life saying one thing but doing another, or saying something and then not following through, and their actions for me speak much louder than anybody's words. I don't know if you guys agree with that too, but words are meaningless without them being backed up with action, at least in my world. And I'm sure a bunch of you guys probably feel the same with that as well. Your words are important, but only when I can trust and know and rely that what you say you're going to do, and even if, we're human beings, we're going to say we're going to do something, we're going to change our minds, we're going to be aware of new information coming in that makes us allows us to make a more intelligent decision moving forward. So we have to be flexible, right? But at the end of the day, when you continue to say stuff to people in your life, or yourself, even more importantly, and you continue to have the cycle and the pattern that you don't actually align your actions with those words, and you just become all talk in your world or others, then you are going to lose trust. You're going to lose trust with yourself, and that's the main thing, but you're also going to lose trust in your relationships. And for me, my lesson learnt that, I'm like, okay, I don't want to be angry and annoyed at people for being human beings, right? I need to lower my expectations on them, but simultaneously increase and communicate my standard. And that's what we all need to do. We all need to have clarity over what our needs are, because we're living our subjective experience, like I talk to you guys every single day, but ultimately, we need to be able to communicate, this is something that just doesn't work for me. And the whole piece around integrity, like, it stems from my childhood. We've all got our own sort of experiences through our lives, but for me, that was a main thing. And my mum won't mind me saying this because, she knows I talk about everything in my life. I'm so open. If you're in my life, you're going to get spoken about probably. And I hope you're all right with that. But anyway, when I was a kid, she used to do this to me all the time. Not intentionally, but she used to say, yeah, like, shut up, you can have it, you can do it, or whatever, I'll take you, yeah. But then it'd get to the time where, she'd be taking me somewhere she'd agreed to, and then she'd say, I don't want to do this anymore. And so from a young age, it kind of got to me. It was like, my pet hate is people saying something, but then I can't trust and rely on them to just follow through on their word. And so over time, this pattern has kind of played out here and there with different relationships, and had to, have these kind of conversations, and also in my own self, not make promises anymore that I knew I wasn't going to keep, just to people please or give people what they want in the moment, but have no intention of following through. Not a good place to be. And right now, like I said, I have got a bunch of different relationships in my life, from friendships to family members to coaches, like I spoke about yesterday. All sorts of people in my life right now. I'm having the exact same challenge with them in terms of feeling like I want to put all my trust in you, and I do. I tend to just put my trust in everybody who comes forth. All my trust, you say it, I trust it, let's go. But then over time, the consistency and the experience has been, where's the action? Like, okay, I thought this was going to happen. You said this, but like that's not actually happened. Are we just going to talk about this stuff? Is that enough? Like, that's not enough for me. Like, I want to see some action. I want to see some authenticity. I want to see some congruence. I want to see some genuineness. I want to see some integrity, and I know you guys by now, particularly you guys who've been in any of my coaching programs, it's all about action, and it's all about authenticity. And so if I don't have those pieces, I've got to have the difficult conversation, like what yesterday's Facebook Live was all about. And it wasn't the only difficult conversation I've had to have just recently, but it was the one in the moment. And that is what I'm taking from this experience. So not only do I want to leave you guys with this message around say what you mean and mean what you say, or don't say it at all, I also want to leave you with two other pieces of value. The next one is that if you're the common denominator in the same challenges in your relationships, better start looking at yourself, and better start looking at the lesson to be learnt, and better start looking at the opportunity that is continuously presenting itself to you so you can grow. If everything is happening for a reason and a purpose that serves you, find the lesson. Even if it doesn't feel good, you have to recognize you're the common denominator. You're the one, like you're the pin, and it's the same thing happening over and over again. What's this pattern? What's the lesson? Because we can break patterns and move beyond them when we own the lessons to be learnt, and we stop projecting it onto everybody else, and what they're doing wrong, or how they need to change, and disempowering ourselves and playing the victim and all that sort of stuff just serves to keep you staying stuck in the pattern, and you won't break through until you build a bit of courage and find it. Get intentional and find the lesson. The lesson for me has absolutely been that these beautiful people in my life who I absolutely want in my life and add maximum value to me outside of this annoyance, they are providing me with the opportunity necessary to build my courage, build my strength, and build my ability to communicate more openly and more directly about what is right for me and what's wrong for me, and what my standards are and what my needs are, and be open to drop the expectations on them and expect them to live in somebody else's, maybe mine, set of values, instead of recognizing that every single one of us are living in our own set of values. And if you want somebody to align more fully with what you value most, you have to give them an opportunity by communicating openly about what that standard is or that need is, and drop the expectations of them changing and transforming and molding themselves into you, because they ain't going to do it, at least not for the long term. And you don't want to be in relationship with another you, because if there's two of you, one of you ain't necessary, right? So that's the other piece that I've definitely been presented with. And as you guys know, I had that difficult conversation, which was really hard with my coach yesterday. I found that really challenging. And you know what's challenging? When we don't get enough practice. When you get to practice it, you get to master it. What's that saying? Every master was once a disaster. You got to be willing to start in the disaster zone in order to up level and strengthen that muscle around the things and the ways of being that actually move the needle forward towards your empowerment and the life that you want to live. So thank you to all those incredible human beings who are presenting me with the challenge right now to be more direct and to communicate and communicate about what's not working and have a pathway forward for what will, and give them the opportunity to meet me there or not, but at least I'm building that courage muscle and opening up the opportunities rather than closing the door without them even knowing what the hell went wrong, right? So that's an important step. And I had something else I was going to mention on top of that. I can't remember. It'll probably click back in, but I'm really hoping that me sharing this with this message with you guys is definitely resonating and definitely getting you to look at how much of what you say is actually showing up and aligning in your actions in the external world. It's not good enough to just say something, to be all talk, to talk a big game, but not align your actions with it. We've all been those people, and we all can witness those people around us that might talk a big game, but they're playing pretty small, And so instead, this is it. And I'm so grateful that you guys have stayed with me, because this is more important than anything I've probably mentioned. It's also alerted me, this situation has absolutely alerted me to how I can be a more positive influence in their lives, to reassure them that there is nothing that they can ever say that is wrong, so long as it is truthful. And you have to look beyond, beyond the behavior and realize, why do people do this? Why is it that people say they're going to do something, or they say one thing, but their actions are not in alignment with that? It is because they are in fear. They've obviously said something, that's not fully in alignment with their truth, for the purposes of, maybe keeping you happy, being the people pleaser, trying not to rock the boat, trying their very best. Everybody's always doing the best they can with the tools that they have. And instead of that, people feel scared, right? They feel scared to be totally truthful. And if you're noticing that people aren't being totally truthful with you, that's the lesson I'm trying to learn right now. How can I reassure the people that I care about, the people that I want to establish depth of connection with, that there is nothing that they could ever say or do that is wrong, so long as they're just being truthful and they're being authentic, and if a person has that sturdy belief that then nothing they can say or do is ever going to be wrong, so long as they're authentic and truthful and honest, then they're going to have the ability to have the courage to kind of take that step forward and say, you know what, I don't want to do this, or no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that because it's not in alignment with me, or it doesn't feel right, or whatever it is, whatever their truth is. There is nothing you can ever say or do that is wrong when you are truthful and authentic and honest, and just be genuine, And if you're not sure, say you're not sure. Say you need a bit of time to think about it, but definitely, be impeccable with your word, as Don Miguel Ruiz would say. Really take that to home. Be impeccable with your word. Don't say it unless it's true for you. And if things change, communicate that. And really, really hoping that today's message is serving you guys. So definitely want to check in and definitely jump into the chat roll. Let me know where in the world you are tuning in from. I always love hearing about where you guys are. And definitely if you have any questions or comments or any words of wisdom that you want to share with our beautiful community, now is the time. And let me check in with you guys. So I've got Mark's here, and Patty, and Abhishek, and Sam's here as well. Hello, and Jay's here. Awesome. And Huss is in the house, and Gabrielle, and Tavis from Orlando, Florida. I love it. And Jody's here, and Jason. Jay, hey peeps. Yes, awesome that you're checking in with everybody in the team. And thank you so much for your kind words there, Sam. And so good to see you back, Gabrielle. And Bob's in the house. I love it. And Mohammed, and Isaac, and Ken, and Bob. That's very true. Words need action to make a connection with self and the public. Absolutely. I think we've all had the experience where we can question words, but you can't question the actions that you see and the behaviors and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of like if you want to go to a personal trainer, right? I think this is just a really good way of looking at this whole idea. You're not going to choose the personal trainer who's really overweight, looking unhealthy. You're going to choose the personal trainer who's got a great physique. They look full of energy. You know, they've got great skin, because you can see that their words and their guidance are in absolute alignment with the action that they take. Otherwise, they wouldn't have that result. You know, but in most realms in the world, we can hide behind the facade and just hide behind the words. But, you know, in the health industry, you definitely can't. Not to a certain degree, you can't as well. So, you know, we've got to know that our words, and it's not our words that get us great results, it's our actions, at least not sustainable results. So definitely super important. And Charlotte, some people lack the empowerment to fulfill their intention. Have you heard the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions? Absolutely. Thanks for sharing it here as well, Charlotte. I couldn't agree more. You know, and that's what we need to be. We need to be more intentional about why we do what we do. Even if we do have great intentions, you know, if it's coming from a place of fear, you know, if we're trying to not rock the boat or trying to people please or trying to mold ourselves to be more pleasing or accepting to other people, exactly that. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. You know, such a great saying. And, you know, instead of that, we need to recognize, is this the most loving thing that I could do in this moment? If we can choose to be guided by, is my decision here being guided by fear? Am I scared about something? Am I holding back? Or is it being guided by love? If you choose love, it's truthful, it's authentic, it's open, it's genuine, it's willing to maybe upset people if need be in the moment, but it's unshakable in that even if it doesn't feel great in the short term. Love knows when you make a decision from love, it's always going to be the best thing you could ever do in the long term. And it takes courage. That's what courage is, you know, choosing love over fear. That's exactly what courage is. So absolutely, Charlotte, thanks so much for sharing that. And Gabrielle, thanks for letting me know you messaged me. I will check my messages, beautiful. And Mosen, thanks for being here. And Patty, your word is your bond. Yeah, but I just wish that was true for most people, you know, because there's so many of us who can get caught up in, you know, talking a big game, but then actions aren't in alignment, and then that whole bond is really broken, you know, and it's disappointing, you know. So absolutely there with you there, Patty. And Sam, valuable message. Grateful to hear that, Sam, as always. And Shane's in the house. Great to see you. And Paulie's here. Great to see you, Paulie. And Sam, what consoles and comforts me is realization people are human. Exactly. And that's what we always have to keep reminding ourselves, and also remind ourselves that everybody's living within their own set of values, their own needs hierarchy. There all sorts of things are going on for them. Whatever a person does makes sense to them, you know, so instead of us projecting how we think they should be, we should just take it on board. What's triggering me? What's the lesson here? What would be the most courageous, loving thing to do in this moment? What do I need to communicate about? And what's going on in this other person's world? You know, take a step out of our own perspective and step into theirs and see what's going on in their world before we, you know, get caught up in the victim game. Absolutely, Sam. And Bob, wow, boom. This is relatable. Last 3 years with 2 important people in my life. We all go through it on both ends of the spectrum. Absolutely, Bob. Thanks for sharing. And hello to Jeff and Jeedy and Mitchell. Great to see you guys. And Sam, a question is, are you requiring and expecting so much from people? Yeah, definitely, you know, and that's the other thing, you know, exactly what I said before, you know, sometimes we have to look at, are our expectations on people just way too high, you know? And coupled with that, most of the time when our expectations on others are really, really high, we also need to ask ourselves, number one, have you communicated? Nobody's a mind reader, like I say pretty much every day. Have you communicated about those expectations? And are you living up to your own expectations? They're 2 really great ones. And also, you know, I like Christine Hassler's book, expectation hangover, because that's the experience that we have from having really high expectations on ourselves, on others. You know, it can leave us in a complete state of disappointment that feels much like a hangover, you know? So we need to be mindful of that. And I don't really feel like expectations serve. That's why I like to look at it more as personified. So expectations are like, I expect you to do this or be this way or whatever, right? It's disempowered because you're relying on somebody else. You're relying on them to make these shifts, make these changes. But if you have and hold yourself accountable to high standards and you've identified what are these healthy standards for me, sort of like boundaries, but I like to refer to them as like raising our standards in those different areas. As we grow and progress, we need that bar, you know, we need something to move towards, something empowering, something that is compelling, you know, and have those standards, communicate about them. But you're communicating from a different angle. You're communicating, hey, you know, these are my standards and this is how I keep myself accountable. This is what I'd love to continue having in our dynamic, you know, in our relationship. You know, what do you think about that? And get them to communicate about what their current standards are. They might not have gotten any clarity on them at all. And you might help guide them by being a walking and talking example in action, you know, instead of expectations, you better do that or I'm out, you know, those sort of things. So that's why I want to swap expectations for having standards and having standards for the self that you communicate openly about. And yeah, so hope that that's helpful there, Sam. And Bob, that is my saying last 10 years. Boom. I love hearing that. And George, I found peace in promising myself to give to myself after giving so much to people that wouldn't appreciate what I would do for them. I'm good. Awesome. George, absolutely. I love that. I love that you've shifted from, you know, being kind of like give, and then realize that you kind of, people aren't appreciating the way that you're giving, and instead, you know, giving to yourself, building yourself up, taking that empowered stance. And, you know, that's great because at the end of the day, we train others how to treat us. And if we're giving, not receiving, when we're actually closing ourselves off from being able to receive, and when we can start to be open and receptive from ourselves first and foremost, people are more inspired to come on that journey with us as well and create a more equal dynamic where we can both give and receive simultaneously without condition. So I love hearing that, George, and thanks so much for sharing it and for being here. And Sonula's here, and Lucy, great to see you. And Bob, yes, same for me as well. Thank you, Vanessa. You're so welcome. Grateful this was resonating. And Patty, you are getting lots of opportunities to communicate what is important to you and getting better at having difficult conversations. Yay, absolutely. And thanks so much for being my cheerleader there, Patty. Yes, absolutely. I could tell yesterday, after yesterday's experience I shared with you guys, I was like, whoa, I'm really out of practice. You know, you guys know I've been kind of like out of a relationship for the last year now. And when you're in intimate relationship, you know, because I was constantly in long-term relationship and that last one was nearly 5 years. You know, when you're in intimate relationship, you have so many opportunities to have difficult conversations. At least if you're choosing to grow it and have the courage to create something more extraordinary. You got so many opportunities, more than you want, right? But at least you can build that muscle. And, you know, since being kind of single, I've just been kind of a bit like, whoa, I don't get as many opportunities. And I could so tell my strength in being able to have that difficult conversation just with my coach yesterday. I was like, whoa, got to build this muscle, got to get back in the mental gym, you know, and be able to communicate in those difficult conversations. So thank you to all these amazing people in my life who are giving me that opportunity. And thank you, Patty. And Az is here. And Sam, yes, that's one thing I love about you, being direct and authentic on how you're feeling and what you want. Thank you, Sam. Constantly growing it. And, you know, it's always much easier. The closer somebody is to you, I feel the easier. Well, for me personally, I know this can work both ways, but for me personally, it's even easier for me to be more direct, more authentic. And, you know, the closer you are to me, like there's nothing that's going to get slip under the rug. But, you know, when they're not so close, you can kind of kind of slip back into like, oh, I don't want to upset people, but that is not going to get you anywhere. So you've got to have the courage no matter how uncomfortable. So thank you, Sam, you superstar. And Gabrielle, I'm so grateful that you found some insight here. And Sam, you've to put 10,000 hours to be a master. See, you're getting closer. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. Absolutely. And Samuel's here and Carolina. Awesome. And Sarah's here as well, and Sam. There we go. That's a great point. Do you scare people off? Somehow they're not authentic but want to please at the moment. And that's why I was like, whoa, like what's going on here? Like how can I make it even more clear to people in my life that I love authenticity more than anything, and maybe I need to communicate a bit more regularly and just reassure them a little bit more while they build that muscle in terms of, just telling the truth all the time with compassion, all this stuff that I'm talking about every single day. Yeah, so I'm definitely thinking about that and me being a common denominator. Absolutely, Sam. And Shane, you're making so much sense, Ness. Thank you. Thank you, Shane. I so appreciate you, my friend. And thank you so much for being here. And Gary's here. And Rick, great to see you. And Wang, hello to you. And Ram's in the house. And Judy, it's so great. And Jamantis and Ram. The greatest self-deception is saying what we do not mean or saying what we do not mean. Yeah, well, okay, think same sentence, but yes, absolutely. Saying what we don't mean, that's what I mean. Like you've got to say what you mean what you say, or don't say it at all. If we can just live by that, the depth of connection we'll be able to establish through trust and openness and authenticity and honesty, in all of our relationships, it's going to skyrocket. So absolutely, Ram. And Laura's here. And Wang, vibrate in the frequency of love. I love that. So good. And so good and timely because I just picked up another book that I'm reading. It's been sitting on my desk for like about a couple of months when I bought like a stack of books I wanted to read. I just picked it up last night. I think it's called The Heart of Love by Dr. John D. Martini. And I think, it's a really important topic to continue to study. I think it helps us and empowers us in all areas, and particularly relationship with self, which is always the foundational place for all success, so got to tap into it. And thanks Wang and Sam. My growth has been ready and open for any eventualities and surprises along the way, as certainty is a long shot. I love that, Sam. Kind of like me as well. You got to stay open to the opportunities, stay flexible. But yeah, and yeah, you can't have certainty in your external environment. You can only have that certainty from within. So you may as well establish a depth of connection and trust within the self, to be able to have that level of certainty that we all need. It's all a need for each and every one of us. And the way you do that is you have integrity. Only you really know when you're lying, or you're saying something that doesn't feel right. So make that the basis of your decisions, to align your words with your truth and your actions, and you will establish the kind of trust within the self that you couldn't do otherwise. It is the best thing ever to be able to do that for empowerment. So I love that, Sam. And Ram, the greatest self-deception is saying what we do not mean or not saying what we truly mean. Boom, I get it now. Absolutely, Ram. And Ray's here. Great to see you. And Shane, thanks for the wave, Ness. Back to you. Yeah, I wish I knew how to do that all the way back. I don't know. It's just this new thing. Like when I see you guys, it's got this new feature and it says wave. So I'm like, hey, if I'm scrolling past, I'm saying hi, I'll give you a wave. Waving at David. Hey, David, good to see you. And Haas, hey, B, happy to catch you today. Always, Haas. Love having you here. And David is from Chile. So good to see you. And Shane, Yes, action is important. Just started an online business. Check my timeline, Ness. I posted about it for the first time on Wednesday. I'll definitely do that. And congratulations, Shane. That's so cool. Welcome to the world of hustle and freedom. Freedom of choice. A lot of time, but you got to love it. So that is so cool, Shane. And Stephen's here. And Mohammed and Rayul and Julie. Awesome to see you guys. And Sam, yes, reassuring people helps getting them closer and authentic. So true. Absolutely. No judgment. Just want your truth. Absolutely. That's the way to go about it, and give them that reassurance, because most people aren't very reassuring in that way. Most people are like, do what I say and align with who I am, or I'm going to reject you or not accept you, or because of my own fears. And so that's why it's kind of learned behavior to not tell the truth and not just be honest. So we want to disconnect from the learned self and be the true self and reassure those people closest to us, but that's what we want from them. They're trying to please us. We might as well give them the way to actually truthfully please us through that authenticity. So love that, Sam. And Jordana's here. Good to see you. And Sam, I love your courage and fire talking about relationships and authenticity. Thank you so much, my friend. And Spadey's here as well. So all you guys who are just joining me, I really hope that you catch the recording and get a ton of value from today's message. As always, I'm sending you guys all of my love, light, blessings, gratitude, energy, enthusiasm, everything extraordinary coming to you to wherever you are in the world today. I hope it's beautiful, amazing, and extraordinary. And I really hope that today's message has served you and got you thinking about, really saying what you mean, meaning what you say, or don't say it at all. That is the way to align fully with your truth, establish true depth of connection and trust within the self, because you're actually, aligning your words and actions, and you can start to trust what you say, you're going to do. You're not going to lie about it. You're not going to sugarcoat things. You're not going to people please. You're just going to be truthful, honest, and you, and genuine. And that's what people want. That's the only route forward for us to have depth of connection in any of our relationships. So love that. And Sam, I always love and appreciate your feedback. It's an eye-opener and full of love and inspiration. I honor and appreciate you, super rockstar. So much truth and love in those words, Sam, and right back at you, my friend. Super grateful for you, and thank you so much for showing up and being here as always. And that is it from me today, guys. I really hope this message has served you. And as a side note, if you're not in the masterclasses, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Jump on board. The link is up above. I have got so much value waiting for you and so much more to come. Sending you guys all of my love, and I'll see you tomorrow.